What's up, everybody? We got the whole crew here. We'll pretty much, most people know us by now, but we'll start. I'm Greg from Tethrd, and
I'm Jared.
Ernie.
Taylor.
Carl.
And we're here to talk about the One Stick today. The One Stick is being released here incredibly soon, and we wanted to kind of talk about some of the design choices and engineering choices that we made when building these things, and why we did what we did, and why it's going to make you a better hunter. And that's the whole point of this video. Is not really about us, it's more about you, and you can understand how this is going to help you kill more deer. So what do you guys think? We pretty much all used them.
Yeah.
What's the feedback from this year?
Yeah, so we started, when we were talking about making a stick, it was how are we going to make a stick lighter, faster, pack better. Eliminate the issues that are there with sticks. And that's, they're big, they're heavy, and they're bulky.
And I would say, like, the number one complaint, like, if you could only, if we asked everybody watching or listening, what is your number one complaint about climbing sticks? I think pretty much everybody would say they're heavy.
They're heavy.
And bulky.
Yeah,
you know?
and
Those are two big ones.
Yeah.
Bulk and weight.
Yeah.
Yep. I hate sticks as a general rule.
Right.
But we've eliminated a lot of the issues here, and so these are something I actually use.
And Taylor, you've used them all year. You hunt more than probably anyone here in the urban jungle of Washington D.C. What's your feedback?
yeah, the weight is just an amazingly huge factor for me. To think of, the sticks that I used for a long, long time were a 3-step. They weighed about 3 pounds each. And to go from those, obviously I didn't make the transition right away from those to these, but, kind of staggered down the line. I can have 3 of these on my hip, and it weighs what one of those sticks did before. So that to me is very cool. I love the attachment method that we have put on these with the Dynalite ropes and the Dynalock button. That to me is super cool. It's so secure, it bites on the tree, and it is roll tide simple. If you can't figure that out going up a tree, stay on the ground, because it is just, it's awesome. It's foolproof.
Yeah, I love it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think one of my favorite things about the One Stick is that there are 0 moving parts on this thing.
Yeah.
Nothing to fold down, nothing to fold up, no standoffs to loosen up. There's just, if it's not needed, it's not there. And there's no moving parts on these sticks at all.
So the first stick we ever designed, Karen Kosseth actually designed it. And it had what we
That
all
seems like a long time
termed,
ago.
we created a new term for it. And what did we call it? Do you remember? F squared.
Yeah,
the fiddle factor.
Fiddle factor.
It was
Yeah.
very fiddly.
Yeah, I came up with that rotating double step like February of 18 or 19 or whenever it was. And it seems like forever ago.
Make me feel old, Carl.
And it was cool. It was cool, but it was definitely F squared. The fiddle factor was pretty insane on it. And we discussed it, we're like, yeah, it's awesome, but, guys are going to rotate these things out, lock them down, and they're never going to move again.
Right.
They're going to completely eliminate that feature. So we just kind of deep sixed those and moved on. And this was kind of the next evolution.
Well, and that's part of the thing that's so cool about these is, these are going to last forever. Is there a initial upfront investment that you need to make on these? Yes. Have there been any corners cut on these? No. This is a Rolls Royce of a climbing stick, and the fact that there are no moving parts, there's nothing to wear down.
Right.
And one of the things that I noticed first off was how amazing the step was here on my foot. The amount of purchase that I had with my foot on it climbing up, and the way that it's slightly curved, it was just like so accommodating to my boot.
Mm-hmm.
It felt really secure on there, and pretty obvious it's not going anywhere.
Right.
I think another big difference too that a lot of people don't realize is you've really got a lot of width right there. And if you compare this width to a standard step on a stick, any other stick, what's another, like a Hawk Helium,
inch or something.
You've got a 1/4 inch in your boot. This is probably what, a 1/2 inch, Ernie?
No, that's closer to an inch.
Closer to an inch. So really, I mean, you've got a lot to stand on there. It really distributes that pressure on your boot, and it's really awesome to stand on.
You have this whole area. Up
Yeah,
here
you
to
can stand on the whole thing.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Which is part of. I mean, that was a choice that we made. You know, we realized that we were trying to cut as much weight out of this thing as possible while still keeping it super strong, and so that's why we kind of engineered this to be the same piece, so you have even more purchase. So yeah, I agree with you. It worked for me all of season long.
Sure.
Now, I mean, not everything's perfect. We could make 1,000 sticks, and 10 other climbing hunting manufacturers could make 1,000 sticks, and you would never have one that was perfect. It's just the way it goes. You always have to, what's important to you, so you focus on that, and then some other things, maybe aren't perfect. That's going to be the case with any stick. So I think these things are kind of loud right out of the box. It's something you have to deal with. I use stealth strips to quiet mine down, but because we kept the hollow tube and the titanium tubing here, it is a little bit loud right out of the box. So
A lot of sticks are.
a lot of sticks are. That's true. That's true. So I've recommended to people that have been testing these out to make sure that when you take them out of the box, whatever method you prefer. I like stealth strips and that hockey tape. That's what I used. But everybody's different. Some people might not put anything on them at all. It's something to consider.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, they're a little loud, but I mean, like you mentioned, there's a trade-off to everything, right? Like if you want to drive fast and you buy a sports car, you're not putting the soccer team in it. And if you want to go off-roading, you're not taking your Porsche.
Yeah.
So, I mean, they're trade-offs to everything, the pros and cons. They are a little loud out of the box, but that's something that's easy to mitigate.
Easy to fix.
And
you can,
easy to fix.
and-
with a few minutes of time and a little bit of like a stealth strip product or anything else, you can mitigate that. And like you said, how many of us actually use a climbing stick without silencing
bare
it in
stick,
some way?
Right.
I don't know any serious
Nobody.
hunter period, whether they're a mobile stand hunter or a saddle hunter. They're going to have their stick silenced.
Yeah.
Plus, they want the camouflage, so
Yeah.
that's just another added benefit.
Yep.
They look good.
Oh, yeah,
they look real good.
Now, what about the price? See, I wanted to sell these for $20 per stick, but Ernie was like, no, you idiot, we can't do that. And Ernie wanted to jack the price way up. So why are they so expensive, Ernie?
Well, honestly, titanium's not cheap, so let's start there. Just raw goods, raw materials, the titanium tube. Again, we went with premium materials, premium costs, premium. The other thing is, in order to create the one-piece step and standoff, there is some machine time and labor that goes into that. There's definitely some time that takes to create that profile. It's not a flat extrusion. It's not water jet. It's not some of those other manufacturing processes that you will see. In order to get a three-dimensional piece, we have to machine out the other material. So you've got scrap and waste in the machining process. You've got time in the machining process. And then go from there.
So, Ernie, something else that I would point out that you were about to talk about, I'm sure, is these Dynalite ropes.
Yep.
And, I mean, every other stick I've ever bought, I've thrown those stupid buckles away, and I've either made my own or bought Dynalite or, Amsteel Blue or some other Dyneema-based product. So,
And because of that progression, which led to the
so what do you think about
advent
that?
of Dynalite.
No, it's a premium attachment method for sure. The Dynalock knotting system, the way it is attached, is foolproof. It's easy. It's quick. It's quiet. I mean, on a lot of sticks, half of the weight of the stick that you're purchasing is in the buckle that's on the strap. So just by eliminating that buckle and creating an easier attachment method, we've already kind of upped the game, if you will.
And also, when we say what the weight of this stick is, that's what the weight of this complete stick. That's with the Dynalite. That is turnkey, ready to rock on a tree.
A 1 pound stick ready to hunt.
Ready to go.
Unless I guess it would be fair to say, if you want to add stealth strips or something, that is an extra thing that you would have to take into account. But, I mean, you could 100% open these up out of the box, take them to the tree and hunt.
Yep.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
And
I tend to be clumsy in the woods, so I'm going to do everything I can to make them
Yeah.
quieter. But even still, stealth strips don't weigh that much. And by the time you've got this thing ready to rock in the way that I would use it, it's still... Well, I mean, I hunt a lot of times on private property with climbing spurs. And I have the lightest spurs out there, and I've modified them. And they weigh 2 pounds 6 ounces. So for another 10 ounces, I can take 3 climbing sticks.
Yeah.
They're basically negligible in the difference between the two.
Yep.
So I can pick either method, and I'm
Yeah.
not really paying a penalty.
And now you're public land legal.
Yes.
And
correct.
that's been my favorite thing because I'm like Ernie. I use spurs, the same carbon spurs you do. And I never wanted to carry sticks because the spurs are just so much lighter. But, we're all hunting public land more these days. And now that we've got these and I can carry 3 of them and they weigh exactly the same as my spurs, and that's awesome.
And
I love that.
I saw you do these. I saw you use these in North Dakota on our hunt, and the way you were using them with the stick lock feature is pretty slick. Can you talk us through how you climb the tree with 3 of these with using the stick lock thing?
Yeah, so with the stick locks, they're all stuck together like that, and then I'll just hang the whole stack off the side of my saddle with just a little bungee loop that I've got. Yeah, I just hang the whole stack off my saddle. As I go up, I just pop it off, hang it on the tree, and go. And they're so
the remaining
light.
stack is on your
And
belt.
the
still.
remaining stack is still on my saddle, and they're all there together in one spot. They're not dangling around, clanging into each other, and it just works out really, really nice.
They're so light. Also, one thing I noticed that you did almost every hunt in North Dakota, Jared would just carry him in his hand.
Yeah.
I mean, he would roll depending on where he was going that night. Because we did a lot of pre-scouting. He knew what tree he was going in. I think he rolled out of there with 5 one night.
Yeah,
and it's
taking
5
5
pounds. So
Yeah.
he's got his bow in his hand and he's carrying 5 sticks like nothing.
Your sticks are now lighter than your bow.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, and the reason I was doing that is because I like to get to the tree and just start climbing. I don't have to take my pack off and all that stuff. So I just hold him in my hand, hold the bow in the other. I can lay my bow down, start throwing sticks up, and we could be set up in 10 minutes, no problem. So
Well, and when your sticks are hanging like that, it provides the opportunity for a one-trip climb.
Yeah.
You are
Yeah.
up the tree in one trip,
And you're done.
and
Yeah.
you're not banging around everything, looking like some kind of a traveling salesman with all kinds of stuff hanging off his backpack.
right.
Well, and when you have your sticks like that, literally your entire climbing method on one clip is less than the sticks that I was talking about that I
Yeah.
started climbing with.
Yep.
Like that to me was super cool.
Yeah.
That all of those together were less than my original
Yeah, it's pretty-
single stick.
It's pretty incredible how light they are.
Yeah.
It almost feels like you forgot something at the base of the tree when you're halfway.
It does, yeah. Another feature that are on these that it's a smaller thing, but is the glow tabs and the steps, and that was honestly probably my favorite thing about them. Is when you're climbing down after a hunt, and those things have been sitting there in the sun all afternoon. They keep glowing well after dark.
Well after dark.
Well after dark,
Yeah.
like probably an hour or so after dark. And it just makes it so much easier climbing down. Like exactly where you're putting your foot. And it's just a really good, well thought out feature that I really like.
Yeah, I love those glow tabs, Jared. Definitely. If we want to look at some of the design and engineering aspects of this, one of the things that we did that actually helped cut weight, but actually made for a more single piece construction, is we eliminated all the hardware. So you're not going to have a bunch of nuts and bolts, things that need to be adjusted, checked, etc. These are all bonded with a structural adhesive. You'll notice, though, when you look at them, there is a roll pin, and those are a grade 8 roll pin. We borrowed that technology from some industrial mechanics, etc. But what that roll pin primarily is there to do is the holes are pre-drilled in the post, and the holes are pre-drilled in the step, and by applying the adhesive, adding the step, and then putting the pin, it guarantees that the steps are straight during the bonding process.
So everything's aligned.
Yeah, it's an alignment feature.
And then it acts as a safety feature.
Sure, it's a backup.
Yeah.
It absolutely is a backup, but the primarily function was to keep everything straight. But if we're going to keep everything straight and the weight on them is negligible, why not throw in a grade 8 piece of metal that is just going to give that added peace of mind and keep things safe as far as that goes.
And also, whenever we did the strength testing at the lab on the one stick, it was going back to the roll pin. We actually did one stick without any structural adhesive in it, just to see the strength of the roll pin itself. And the roll pin itself actually held. Well, it passed all of the testing standards with just the roll pin itself. Because we were just wanting to see how it would perform and how it would do, and it did great. And then we went all out, and this is actually one we took to failure, and you can see the titanium bent right there. That was 900 plus pounds that it took for that to occur. You know, and
3 times the load rating that
Exactly.
we rate these sticks.
So the way the ASTM safety standard reads is your climbing stick has to pull test at double whatever the weight rating is that you have applied to your stick. So if you rate it at 100 pounds, it has to pull at least 200 pounds. If you rate it at 300, it's got to pull at 600. So we could technically rate this thing at 450 pounds.
Sure.
If we wanted to, you know. Our lawyers tell us not to do that. We're not smart. We're just saddle hunters, so we listen to the lawyers. But this thing is crazy strong.
Yeah, it's really a work of art. There's just a lot of new technology and just a lot of awesome ideas that went into this.
Well, and so we're talking about, we wanted to fix the problem with sticks, right? We clearly fixed the lightweight, but one of my favorite features on it is the packability, because you can carry these in your hand, like Jared mentioned, climbing up the tree with them. They're so packable, and part of that is this locking feature. I mean, that to me is just so cool how they stack, and so versatile and useful throughout multitudes of applications.
The stick locks are nice. They allow you to put these together in a way that they just hold better.
I mean, once they're stacked,
Yeah, I mean, they're locked in there.
it's not coming off. I mean, unless you just want to pull them apart somehow, or you fall down a mountain, they might come apart
I don't
down a
think
mountain.
they would.
But I mean, you when they're fully locked in, I mean, you have to try. You can't just accidentally pull them apart. I mean, you have to do it on purpose. So that's what they're there for, and that's just one of the things that I like so much about it too. I think it's important to keep in mind what this is. This isn't the stick for everyone, and we totally understand that. We're not trying to be just like every other stick on the planet. We wanted to make the lightest, most packable stick ever created. And so, we made some design choices and engineering choices to support that. So maybe this is a little smaller, or maybe, who's and what's, it's a little louder. Sure, there's compromises in there. But we wanted to make the lightest, most hunter-friendly stick ever, and that's what we did.
It's the first of its kind.
It really
You know,
is.
and
Well, there's as many as 3 or more active patent applications on this
Right.
stick, showing you that there's stuff that's never been done before.
Right.
We are doing new stuff. We're pushing the boundaries. We're making new products. We've got patent applications that back that up.
right.
We're pushing the boundaries of hunting and saddle hunting, mobile hunting, that whole boundary.
But it's just cool to get something that is truly the first of its kind, as a tangible, you can see, touch, feel it. I mean, when you get that in your hand and you start using it, I mean, sky's the limit. Once you get that first. What are you looking at me like that for?
No, I was gonna add to what you're saying. Go ahead, finish your thought, Karen.
Marl. Who are you
Yeah,
again?
these guys have had some confusion with my name over the last few days. I don't know what's going on there, but
So I was very, very, very lucky this season that I got to hunt a lot. I hunted a lot of public land, a lot of different places, and met a whole bunch of you maniacs. Dude, stop me, see the saddle, want to talk about it. And I always had the one sticks. And so one of my favorite things to do, I promise you, I've showed these to 15 or 20 people on public land this past season. And what I would do is I would take my sticks and I would sit them on the tailgate of my truck as we were talking, and I would say, yeah, go ahead, check them out. But I didn't want to hand them to them because I wanted to watch their face. And every single person, without fail, they would do this. Oh my gosh! They couldn't believe it.
yeah.
So,
Or they would do this. They'd reach down and grab it and go,
yeah.
because they're expecting more mass weight there.
Right, exactly. So it was a big deal. It's going to make a lot of hunters. It's going to make a lot of you folks out there watching. It's going to make you lighter, faster, stronger. It's pretty good thing. I'm pretty excited to where these things are right now.
Absolutely.
So who's the guy that's going to buy this, Carl?
I think it's going to be initially your seasoned saddle hunters that have a year or two under their belt, and they're really trying to refine their kits. They're trying to get more streamlined, just making everything simpler and, like you said, faster, stronger type situation. They are expensive, as we've already touched on that, and it's a premium product. And so, those are the type of people that I think are going to be really, after these, because they are that next level.
Yeah, but it doesn't always have to be the guy that's a seasoned saddle hunter
No.
as well. If there's a guy that is jumping from being a very seasoned mobile hunter
Sure.
and is adding a saddle to his kit or her kit to go deeper, pack lighter, pack further, they might know already that this is the solution for them as well.
I think maybe a better way to frame it is there's gonna be a lot less apprehension spending this type of money from somebody who's been in the fold for a while.
That's fair.
They've experienced
Quality.
the setbacks that we have with other climbing sticks and
Right.
methods that are too heavy, too bulky, too cumbersome,
What?
and they value this packability and lightweightness.
Yeah.
I mean, look at me. I hate sticks. I just do. I hunt with these because they eliminate all the reasons I hate sticks.
Right.
So ultimately, this is something I will use when before I just avoided it altogether. I'd try every other climbing method on the planet before sticks because I just didn't like all the features of sticks, just are inherent in sticks. And these are something that I used this season and really had no complaint.
Yeah, and for me, I mean, it's no secret that I don't walk very far from my truck to a tree. I mean, you can look at my body and tell that. Right? So
50 yards of
yeah,
fabulous.
I mean, I'm out of breath just thinking about walking 47 yards to my truck. I have to worry about shooting it sometimes. But for me, when I'm climbing, 200, 225 times up and down on a stick, the fact that this doesn't have any moving parts and I don't have to worry about, bolt heads working their way out or a step riding on the bolt head, whatever it might be, there's less probability for failure. And if I don't have too much to worry about having 240 pounds of chewed bubblegum hit the ground, that's a good thing for me. And so that was a big selling point for me, even not having to go deeper into the woods for it.
And you guys pointed out, these are going to be great for saddle hunters who are, already thinking mobile, light, fast. Maybe even can we say the word here? Can we use that dreaded word
I'm gonna have to bleep it out.
of tree standers? They might even find some value in the one stick. So overall, man, I think we hit a home run with this thing. I'm pretty excited to get it out there in the real world and let you guys play around with them and test them and climb with them and hunt with them because I think you're gonna love them.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, we're glad you took a couple minutes to join us here and go over some of these features. I mean, this is all meant for you. The reason we do this stuff is to make your lives easier. I mean, it's cool that we get to use it because, we kind of make it to the things that are going to make our lives easier too. But ultimately, we wouldn't be where we are without your help. And we just want to thank you for the time.
Absolutely.
You guys are going to love these. I mean, really, get out there, try them. Get them in your hands because it's one of those things where until you actually have this in your hand and you're like, oh my God, you don't realize what you've been missing until you have it.
We could go on and on for hours about them, but it's just not the same
Yep.
until you actually physically get them in your hands, and then you're like, yeah, I get it.
Yep. So, again, we're Tethrd, and these are our new one sticks, and thank you for your time.
Thanks a lot.